Hey guys, Heretic U here, and for tonight's episode, we're gonna hack some time and go back to the goddamn Viking Age.
I can hack you back in time to Nazi Germany, just like a time machine. Oh no! I went too far back in time. This is the goddamn Viking Age. I'm a cop from the future. I need your help.
Okay, so welcome, late night people, people who watch this video. I don't know. In case you couldn't tell from that intro, we're gonna talk about historicals, why people don't play them, or why the general population of us wargamers normally don't get into historicals, and I'm just going to go into why I think it's so. I would actually like to hear your thoughts on all of this, and then we're going to talk about some specific games, especially Saga, that have sort of kind of bridged that gap. You know, kind of serve as the gateway into historical war games. And then, of course, we had a lot of comments last week, so we're gonna probably have a longer comment section than the actual meat of the show, which is supposed to be historicals. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and sorry about the. I think it's been over a week. Yeah, I've kind of been busy doing some things and planning some big events. One of the main things that I've started planning is a big ITS event for Strategicon. Now, I'm not going to be the TO because, quite frankly, I'm still a noob at Infinity, so that would be a really bad event. No, fortunately, we got his name's Marty, who's a seasoned vet at Infinity, and I was recently at one of his ITSs over in Santa Monica, little hobby store called Arrow Hobbies. And he was at, I don't know how it came up, but he was asking about, he wanted to do something big, and I thought, well, there's this con coming up in a couple months, and we could register events, and we started calling some people, reached out to some people, got some cool prize support, so, yeah, it's called the Battle of Los Angeles, and it's going to be a 300 ITS. Whether or not it's going to be I think it's going to be 2 days based on the interest. And so we kind of wanted to make it special. So I started reaching out to our friends at RN Studio have decided to graciously paint a model for the best painted prize. And so far I've got my buddy Gabe, who's going to be doing the trophies. So we've got Undia Laser Cutting doing the trophies. And then Micro Art Studios has answered one of my emails. So they'll be donating price support as well. So it's going to be a pretty huge event. But it's kind of consumed a lot of my time. I've also done a lot of painting lately. Mark, who is a frequent opponent of mine in most of my battle reports, has he gifted me Toxic City Mall, one of the expansions for Zombicide, And so I've been painting that up, and hopefully, I'm not a big fan of the sculpts of Zombicide, but it's a really fun game. So it's not like I would ever, I don't know, if showcase video or whatever is appropriate. I have a hard time painting that stuff. But right now I'm halfway through most of the toxic walkers. So once you get past the toxic walkers, the runners and stuff should be pretty easy. But I'm also painting some nomads for Infinity. So that's been consuming my time. So if you're wondering why this little show, I don't know. The people who watch this show, I gotta be really thankful that you guys, it's really amazing. Because I mean, how can it be that interesting? I'm not sure. Anyways, let's move on to tonight's topic. So tonight's topic is historicals, and when I look at the miniature wargaming community, you could divide this up in many ways. It's a cake you can slice in many different ways, but one of the ways that you can look at the tabletop wargaming community is there are people who like your sci-fi fantasy stuff, your 40K, your Warhammer Fantasy. And then you have your historical wargamer guys. And just my experience, okay? So when I go to a con, you usually see, well, the 40K people, they're like the dominant crowd, right? And so whenever their tournament is, there's close to 100 people. War Machine, same thing, big crowd, stuff like that. Then you have your smaller games, the ones that I like. And then, off in these other parts of the conventions, are these really cool guys that I will call the historical wargamers. And they spend like entire days just reenacting battles, and they're really cool group, because if you look at what they do, I mean, they should appeal to me more than anything else. Is they're casual gamers. Most of the times they're sitting down, they're relaxed, they're talking about whatever. It's a really chill kind of vibe going on there. And all of their stuff is painted, and it just seems like, okay, that should be my kind of crowd. So what stops me from really getting into historicals? So for me, and I'm gonna say, I think this is what I think there are three major barriers to historical wargaming on top of normal wargaming. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking. Anyways, three major barriers, and whether or not you can get over these, we're gonna get into some games that have kind of made these barriers of entry less daunting. I always go to that word. I don't know. Maybe it's a Blood Bowl thing. I don't know. Dauntless? Anyone? Huh? Anyone? Oh, I also forgot. When we get to the comment section, we have a new game suggestion. I don't know if it's a new game, but somebody had commented suggesting a game that I look into. And so what I'm going to do live is I'm going to Google the game that he suggests and give you sort of my initial thoughts. So Well, it's going to be a long. Hopefully, it's not going to be too long. Again, don't be afraid to speak up if you say, hey, can you keep these under half an hour or an hour or whatever? If you think they're too long, or if you want them longer, let me know. All right. So, first barrier. For me, one of the bigger passions that you have to get into historical wargaming is that you have to really be into history, right? This is something that doesn't exist for any of the other games that I play. If I play Infinity, I don't need to know any history, okay? But that's like one of the biggest draws to historical wargaming is trying to get the accuracy of not only the uniforms but the types of troops and everything like that, and the scenarios. You try to basically reenact these historical battles, and if you talk to the guys, they really know their stuff, and it becomes kind of intimidating for an outsider like me. Also, because I don't know if it's because I'm American. We just don't know our history. I don't know. I mean, I studied enough to pass, and there's obviously some historical events that I find more fascinating than others. But, you definitely have to have an enthusiasm for the periods. Now, there's a lot of historical games, right? I mean, ranging anything from like the Napoleonic stuff to World War II to like the Middle Ages and stuff like that. So, whatever portion of history you're interested in, there's a system out there for you. But if you're just like a schmo like me who just I'm almost embarrassed to admit this, but I don't know much about this crap, and that's a problem. I mean, it it's what keeps me like I would feel um almost like I'm almost insulting these guys if I don't know my stuff, if I don't know what I'm talking about. Now, to be fair, whenever I have stricken a conversation up with these guys, they're more than happy to give you a basic rundown of what they're playing, what the background is, the context of the scenario that they're playing. They're very friendly people. It's just that I don't know. It's something in me where I'm just like, I feel like I should know this stuff, but I don't. So that's like barrier number one, and I think, and that's a tough. That's maybe that's just me, but I think that's a very tough barrier to get through. Number two, if you look at most of our fantasy sci-fi games, right? The composition of the forces is completely up to us, right? So whether you're a hardcore competitive, knock your dick in the dirt gamer guy, right? Who's just going to go for probably that hard hitting list, or you're the casual maybe hobbyist that's going for like the really cool looking units and stuff like that. List is pretty much whatever you want it to be, and in historical games you're almost bound by what would have been realistic for that time period. You know, so for example, if we were playing Saga, you know, the Saracens. You see how bad I am at this. Let's just say the Vikings, right? You wouldn't arm them with, you know, samurai swords. Okay, it just wouldn't be right. Um, but you know, in your sci-fi fantasy game, anything goes, right? So you know, they borrow from all different types of time periods and just basically whatever looks cool or whatever is in line with the fluff of the story, if that makes any sense. Um, and I think for competitive gamers, you know, they want to compete. They they want tournaments. They want to be the best. And I think there's when it comes to historical games, I think um, the focus is on the recreation, the accuracy of it, and that's just kind of, I don't know, counterintuitive for a competitive gamer who just wants, you know, look at the most powerful units or what units can he spam that will give his opponent a hard time. This is more about, like I said, you know, what would be closer to actual history. And so that serves a it's a hard time for competitive gamers. Um, and I think at the same time, for your hobbyists, people who like to either sculpt or, you know, paint, um, the aesthetics aren't, well. I mean, again, I'm speaking with a broad brush here, but I mean, let's just take a look at, um, for example. Well, I guess most of you guys are familiar with 40K, so let's go with 40K. Um, you know, there's something awesome looking about a guy, you know, draped in skulls, and he has a chain sword, you know, and a big ass gun. You know, there's the aesthetically pleasing thing. You know, almost going back to our episode about where we talk about um, bikini armor, right? When people complain about bikini armor, one of the things that I say is, you know, when it comes to sci-fi fantasy, none of the armor is actually realistic. So yeah, the female armor actually accentuates the female body, where as in a lot of the male armor sculpts, you know, they're exaggerated as well. Exaggerated shoulder pads, exaggerated, you know, weapons. You know, the guns are like, you know, they're too heavy to be, you know, practical, or in the case of 40K, that's just, you know, there's just way too many skulls and shit that you just wouldn't. I don't know. You'd make a ton of noise in the 41st millennium. I just can you imagine like the you know, the first day you show up as an Imperial Guardsman, and they're like handing out your uniforms, and they're like, okay, so now we're going to teach you guys how to, you know, run and do jumping jacks with as many skulls as possible taped to your shoulders. um, Point being that there's, you know, in your typical sci-fi fantasy games, the sculpts aren't meant to be practical or realistic. For the most part, they're just meant to look aesthetically cool. Okay? And so you don't have that in your historical war games, and that can hold a lot of people back. I've heard a lot of people, you know, not like the Gripping Beast miniatures or Warlord miniatures because They don't. We're used to seeing the giant shoulder pads from your war machines. We're used to seeing, you know, exaggerated armor to the point of redonkulous levels. And so when you look at like the true 28 millimeter stuff, there's a separate, you know, appreciation for something like that. And that's, you know, maybe it's like beer. Maybe it's like you have to, for me, painting models like for In Her Majesty's Name, which are a lot less exaggerated, I gained an appreciation for that type of sculpt. So maybe it's like that. I'm not sure. But anyways, I could see it being a barrier. And if you disagree with me, you know, put it in the comments. Okay, so that's the second reason. And then number 3, the third reason I think that a lot of people don't get into historicals is, again, I think it's the casualness of it. There's a lot of setup involved in a historical war game, right? There's an expectation of everything being painted. There is an expectation of the scenario, the table being set up just exactly for the scenario. Okay, so you don't get that sort of casual pickup game type thing. You have to have an extra layer of planning when it comes to historical wargaming. Like, you can't just throw your shit in a bag, go to the game store, and expect somebody to also have, like, let's say you're doing World War II, and you're like, okay, I have Germans. Okay, what are the chances that you're going to run into a guy that has Russians? Okay, and then you have to do. Well, you don't have to, but that's the fun of the game, is to reenact, a famous battle between the Germans and Russians. If Germany actually ever got to Russia, pretty sure they, I don't know, so bad. I'm sure they fought, because there was a movie, right? Enemy at the Gates. It was Germans versus Russians, right? Am I total fucking tard at this? I don't know. Okay, so those are the three big barriers, okay, of getting into war games. Now we're seeing, though, war games that are historical. I'll call them semi-historical, because let's start off with Saga. Like, Saga is considered, I would consider it a semi-historical game, because just playing against the Pagan Rus, I will tell you that the Pagan Rus are using magic, okay? And we know that's not historically accurate. So there's a hint of still some fantasy in it. You're playing historically accurate miniatures in Saga. The unit names are historically accurate, but there's just that tinge, with the battle board and the special abilities. There's that hint of this is still a game. It's not a full on reenactment. And I think that's why Saga is so popular, because it's less intimidating. I don't have to know. Like, for example, I have Byzantine. Okay, I know very little about the Byzantine Empire. Okay, I just know from art class that there's a whole section on Byzantine. Oh God, I'm such an American. Anyways, but I don't have to know that to play, because let's say we do a battle between the Byzantines and, let's say, the Normans, or the Skraelings or something like that. Did that ever happen in history? I don't know. I don't know, but it doesn't matter in Saga, because and that allows you to play pickup games, and that's a big deal, and it allows you to play tournaments. So going back to our third point of that third barrier of holding people back, I think that's what Saga does, is sort of releases you from that barrier. Also, games like Flames of War, they do write scenarios right from history, but the game allows you to play um, whatever you want to. So Flames of War, I think, being the first one to really bridge the gap between the two communities. And then I would say that the next one picking up steam would be um, Bolt Action. And of the three, I think I would probably play Bolt Action. Um, and I know that there are groups in Southern California out here where I can get a game of Bolt Action in. But I would love to first get a demo of it, get a feel for it, and see if I would really like the mechanics. Um, and thankfully, we have Phil. When it comes to Saga, he's sort of like the the Saga mascot. And Saga in this area, let's see, he'd mentioned that there's a group that meets every other Saturday out in Pasadena, not too far from me. There's also a pretty big group in San Diego where I go often. So we're starting to see groups rally around these games that are not. I'm going to refer to them as semi-historical. If I'm using the term incorrectly, let me know. I'm not going to get pissed off. And I think that's a good thing, because I don't want to be a dumbass when it comes to history. Can I realistically fit these games into my gaming schedule? That's a tougher question. I know that whenever Phil is going to meet us on a Friday, it's going to involve Saga. And that's cool. He has, I think, 3 or 4 armies. And like I said, I have a Byzantine army. And I think if I were to really get into my Byzantine army, I can see myself doing some research. I did some minor research just to get some of the color schemes correct. But I kind of want to know about their fighting style. Were there any movies made about the Byzantines? What kind of tactics they use? And that's what draws you in, and it's going to be an added benefit. Just to be able to, one of the things that I preach to people when I demo, and I meet like a mom for the first time, and she, a lot of people are apprehensive about miniature wargaming, but let's say she brings little Timmy along with her, and one of the things I tell, one of the benefits of miniature wargaming as opposed to video gaming, besides basic math skills, or learning how to try to predict probability, or make decisions based on what's most probable, problem solving skills, and that sort of thing, is that it's a social hobby. You have to sit down with your opponent. Your opponent has to be in front of you, and you learn things like manners. You learn how to adapt. I mean, if you look at what's happening with the video game community, because there's no way that that person can confront you in real life, in most of the times, people are assholes online. People are assholes because there's no repercussions. And one of the cool things about this hobby is there's that social aspect. Okay, so going back to historicals, another thing would be that these kids would actually get into history. And I feel like kind of a jackass that I'm not that into history. And, can I make any excuses? Not really. I mean, I love my fantasy games, my sci-fi fantasy games. I love the imagination behind a lot of the universes. Um, and that has its own benefits as well. But it's just looking at historical war games, I think, in general, yeah, I mean, the community should embrace historical war gamers and historical war games. We shouldn't consider ourselves separate, and I hope we don't. And I'm looking forward to the day where somebody is, playing a game of, I don't know, Relic Knights or Infinity or whatever, and the guy's like, yeah, but I also play historicals. Like, that's never happened, right? Or vice versa, where it's like, yeah, I started with 40K and everything like that, but then I found out about these historical war games, and I really got into that. That would be awesome. So, I guess to end this segment, I'm going to say that I do see that the market is changing, that there are games. Now, in our industry, change happens very slow, but it's very organic. So games like the 3 games that I've mentioned, or like Muskets and Tomahawks or something like that, they have to be able to withstand maybe little or no activity for their, when they first come out. And then the community kind of slowly learns about them, and if the successful ones are the ones that can withstand that tide. And so I look forward to seeing more of these, semi-historical games. And yeah, I mean, if I ever, I don't know, fell into a couple $100 by accident, I probably would I'd buy into Bolt Action. That'd be my pick. My first choice. But like I said, I still want a demo first. Okay. So that is it for historicals. Let me know why you think. If you're a historical wargamer, let me know what games you like. What do you like playing? Why do you like playing it? Why do you think it's superior to sci-fi fantasy? If you're a sci-fi fantasy guy and you don't like historicals, let me know why you don't, and then we will discuss further in the next rambling. Okay. But anyways, it's time to move on to comments. Okay, so last week we talked about a lot of things. We talked about Patreon and how I'm against it, and basically, just some of the things I do to supplement my hobby, using my hobby. And so we got a lot of responses. And I thought, I would go into more of my response, but I think you guys, you should pretty much know where I stand now on these things. So, let me go back to the video. And we'll go over your guys' comments, because I think that's what really this whole segment should be about. Your guys' comments, not mine. Right? Because, pretty much that's the whole freaking show is my comment. So, alright. Enough stalling. Let's just get to the video. Here we go. Sorry, guys. It's now midnight. My voice is becoming scratchy. So, let's take a look here. Alright. Sorry. Almost played the video. Alright, cool. So, is this the right video? Yeah. Okay. Starting with Surashanut. Don't really have much to say here, but I've had a question that I've been wanting to ask you for a long time, like back during January, but didn't know how to bring it up. So I guess it's not really important. Lol, sorry for wasting your time. You're never wasting my time, man. You're one of my favorite people. Like, I feel like we actually conversate, and that's really what YouTube's about for me, is meeting people who share a love for this hobby. So, if you feel more comfortable, PM me, or send me an email, which is hereticofyou@gmail.com. So, that goes for all of you guys. Anyone who, maybe you don't want to put the comment out there for everyone else to read, go ahead and just send me an email or PM me, and I'll answer it, and I won't broadcast it. Okay, X David Williams. New to your channel, good sir. I like these series of videos. Good job. Thank you for your support. He also added that Patreon is a mix, feeling a bag of nonsense to me. While I'm not financially stable enough to support my fellow YouTubers, I'm not trying to hold anyone back either, much like you. Make that money, produce, inform, entertain, just don't screw the pooch. Pretty much, I agree with what you're saying here. So we're pretty much on the same page as far as that. Especially the screw the pooch part, Don't fuck over your, if you're going to go down the route of trying to make money off your channel. You know what? I'm going to bring up something. Okay, I wasn't going to do it. But, whatever. It's my show. A guy came out recently, Solvent Abuse UK. Who's the next commenter? He put smiley face. Basically, he said he was going to, he was thinking about, or he might start putting product placements in his videos. And you know what? That is probably the least offensive and most effective way to make money for us YouTubers. And so I fully support that. One, you put products in your videos, you're getting paid directly from the company. You're not taking it from your subscribers. And I think that's the best way, is when you're not taking money directly from your subscribers. So, even though he didn't really comment, I saw his video, and you should check his video out too. And if you're not subscribed to Solvent Abuse UK, look him up. He does some pretty good work. He has some good commentary. And he's an amazing hobbyist as well, who believes in just sharing. Sharing for the sake of sharing. Sharing for the passion of the hobby, which has been under assault lately, quite frankly. One of our, I would say, top 10 YouTubers, maybe top 5, came out with a video recently, and he was talking about product placement as well, which I'm on board with, right? I took offense to the other things he said in the video, though. The other things that he mentioned things like, he doesn't make money if you don't watch his entire video. Like, he seemed kind of pissed. The exact words he used was, if you guys skip ahead to the part that's relevant to you, that hurts me. What kind of bullshit is that? So right off the bat, I was like, okay, dude, I know you're a big YouTube star and everything, and everybody loves you, but I mean, we can disagree. Like, I think he's a nice guy. Like, I've met him a couple of times, and so personally, I think he's a nice guy, but I think he was just wrong in the crap he was saying. Especially, now I wish he still had his video up, because I would have downloaded it and put the parts that I'm talking about. But there was one particular part where he was almost mad that there's an expectation of people doing YouTube videos for the love of the hobby, not for money. And he was almost mocking people that believe in that. And as one of the people, I believe that, yeah, I mean, if you're going to spend time doing YouTube videos, if you're going to spend effort and, edit, and you're going to do all these things that people now are starting to complain and bitch about, you better love doing the videos. And if you don't do it because you like it, you enjoy it, and it's part of your hobby, I don't know. I don't think you should be doing it, personally. Anyways, thank you, Solvent, for the smiley face. I hope all that made sense, though. You know what I mean? Like, putting the point of his videos was he was. I'm not talking about Solvent right now. I'm talking about Lester Bursley. He had a video, but he took it down. But he was talking about doing something very smart, which was, having companies pay him to put little product placements in, which is fine. But I mean, at the same time, he was kind of shitting on his audience, and so I wrote a comment, and then he took offense to it. And the only thing I want to say about that is, sometimes things need to be said. Maybe I didn't say it in the correct way. Maybe I wasn't being political about it. But sometimes there's a tendency of people to just cheer you on no matter what. But it really, if you say something wrong or we disagree, this is a marketplace of ideas. And so I think we should be able to disagree without taking it personal. So I hope that you didn't take what I said personally. What I was saying is, based on the words that you have said and the way that you have said it, it seems like you are almost upset at subscribers and your subscribers. And furthermore, I would say, to the people who watch my videos, I don't care if you watch 1 minute or 10 minutes. It's it's amazing that you do any of it. You know, just taking 30 seconds out of your day and clicking on my videos. There are thousands of videos, hundreds and thousands, probably millions of videos on YouTube every day, right? So if you spend a minute looking at something I did, that's awesome. You know, I would never be like, well, you need to watch more because I need to make that ad revenue. I mean, I don't know. I just think it's the wrong way to go. But again, I don't mean anything personal about it. I just want to point out that I just don't, me as a viewer, I took offense to the things that you said in that video. And I don't know if you meant it that way, but, you know, hopefully, hopefully we can have a discussion without, getting, personal or mean-spirited. I'm not trying to be mean-spirited towards anyone. Anyways, going back to comments, we've got Wayne Daly, who agrees and says, yeah, it's e-begging. Pretty much on board with that. Wayne, thank you for your comment. Dice Miniature Paint Guy says, good stuff, excellent. Paint and listen to stuff. Thanks. That's what it was meant for. Also, if you want to jump in the conversation, reply to, just replying helps me interact with you guys. So that's awesome. The Dio, I'm gonna screw this up. Diom Def 16 says, great rant, totally agree. I have no intention of funding someone else's hobby. Cost me enough to do my own. I just unsubscribe. Nobody is so good that I will fund them. Yeah, I mean, we'd have to expect some like movie quality stuff, right? To fund. Totally agree with that. Okay, so that was from last video, but we do have a comment from somebody that recommended a game. Let me see if I can. How do I do that? I gotta go to. So we'll do this live. This is the first time I'm gonna be checking out somebody's suggestion for a game to get into. Video manager, maybe? Yeah, let's get into video manager. And where is it? Interesting. Oh, top 5 games. There we go. Take a look at the comments for that. So this is one of the first ones I came out with, was top 5 games that you wish you could play more, but you don't have enough time to. So we got Flaky Jake, and here's his comment. If you like Blood Bowl, it really is the greatest game of all time. Yes, totally agree with that. You definitely should check out GW's other abandoned specialist games if you haven't already. Necromunda and Mordheim are every bit as fast-paced, fun, tense, and zany as Blood Bowl, with all the great narrative campaign stuff to go with it. I have played a bit of both Necromunda and Mordheim, and I have to say I prefer, between the two, I like Necromunda a little bit more, just because Arbites are cool. So thanks for that. And then let's see, it goes on. So there was a great game at Salute in London. Now I saw this video by Beast of War, so I totally know what he's gonna allude to here. That Okay, I saw that it really impressed me, and made by a dude and his family, called World of Twilight, in a show where 90% of what I saw was steampunk or weird war. It was like a breath of fresh air. Everything about it stands out as unique. The minis, the lore, the rules. Its style is based on the Dark Crystal and Labyrinth. Okay, Jim Henson, hell to the yeah. This already sounds pretty good. It has no human faction. Boom! I wish there was more games like that. That is a pretty brave choice to do. And just as the zany little fantasy dudes in an amazing skirmish-sized fantasy setting, it is, instead of dice, you roll these little stones out of a bag like some sort of voodoo priest. Okay, so let's do this. We're going to Google World of Twilight. Yes, that's me typing with one finger. I'm holding the mic with the other one, so give me a break. People. World of Twilight. Let's take a look at what the Google says. worldoftwilight.com. So we're going to check out the website. And whoa, right off the bat. Okay. So he wasn't kidding about the dark crystal aesthetics. Website. It's pretty cool here. Let's see. There's a general thing about the world. So, cultures. And I'm thinking that these are probably the factions. Empire, Delgun, and Divanu. Resources. Oh, actually, there's a section for factions. Wow, these are really cool. The miniatures are amazing. Guys, you really need to check out this game. What? Alright, so 3 factions, though. Probably the, it's, it's a small company, so I just kind of wish, I get a little worried when I see only limited factions. Let's see. So there's the Fubarni Empire, the Delgon, and the Dianu. Those are your 3 factions. Let's see. Downloadable rules. Yes. So it's a PDF. Thank you, Flaky Jake. I will check this out further. Let's see, miniatures. Whoa, quite a lot of different miniatures here. So they're sort of, if I could describe the Empire. Well, they ride sort of dinosaur-looking things, and they do look. Well, I'd say the Delgon are dark crystal, where the Empire are sort more lizard people, and the Dianu are more bird-like, and then there are different beasts. Whoa. The stuff is pretty amazing, though. And I gotta say, I am really impressed with this. Yeah, guys, definitely check it out, and thank you once again, Flaky Jake. I would love to end every episode with a new game. There's so many games out there and so many great creators out there that I would love to just do that for an ending. So if you guys, I'm going to leave that open for you guys. If you guys have any recommendations of games that you are personally into or have seen and think should deserve some more attention, definitely let me know and we will talk about it. First impressions of Twilight, blown away. I gotta find more about this rolling stones out of a bag mechanic. That just sounds awesome. It kind of sounds like you're in the world, and I always love when games can incorporate the mechanics of the game into the fluff. You know, like how Malifaux, the soul stones are in the fluff and you use them in the game, and you know, the fate deck as well. That was always like one of the cool things about Malifaux. This has a really different feel. I mean, really amazing looking, characterful miniatures, and I think I would probably go with the Delgon, though. They just look pretty pimp. There's this guy with he has mechanical legs and like this spear. He just looks like he is ready to wreck some fools up. So anyways, this is all, yep. Okay. So that was the World of Twilight. Hang on, let me go back to that page. worldoftwilight.com. Check it out. And thank you guys all for listening to this. I can't believe that you guys do listen to this. And I'll see you on the next Rambling. Yeah. And we're just going to end it like that. All clumsy and shit. Yep. 'Cause that's how I roll, bitches. And peace out.